Hello, everybody. This is Ronnery, as always, Barbie fronting. So, Beth was the one to do the phone call, I believe, to the FBI as well as to Internal Affairs. Um, while we were on the phone with the FBI, we panicked and sent a non sequitur when put on the spot. Um, the lady taking our case down got a little bit aggressive towards us. And it's not the first time. Um, when we came forward about this case in Texas in 2021, we put it off for years because we were afraid that if we spoke up, no one would believe us. And we were afraid that we would run into the exact detective that we ran into. And that he would have a grudge against us just like he did. That's the truth. Is one day in January of 2026, we just got this gut feeling. And we wanted to figure out the exact date that we got our eyebrow scar. And after we went through the rest of 2021 in our Google Photos, after figuring out that it was either the 20th or the 21st of April, it wasn't until that night, that morning of January 27th of 2026, that we found out, for the first time sober, and therefore able to actually cognitively realize the weight of what we had discovered, found out Google Photos uploaded the evidence to the cloud, even though we thought we had deleted it. Things that we showed him we deleted, like visibly, like said, here, I'm deleting it right now, to prove to him that we were not turning against him, were uploaded to the cloud. We didn't know until January 27th of 2026 that any of this evidence existed in our phone. And we initially thought it was a run-of-the-mill DV relationship. And then when we didn't get to unpack everything with the detective because he refused to take our story down on account of the grudge, what was the beginning of my sentence? Oh yeah, when we did not get to tell him what happened, we turned to Google and we used our AI assistant while live streaming to Twitch. And we looked up the statute of limitations on what charges we thought were going on in this evidence that we had found, and scratched out the ones that had expired, and then looked up if the evidence we had was enough to convict on a charge of aggravated sexual assault. And by looking at the penal codes attached to the kind of evidence that we had on our Google Photos, it was considered human trafficking. So I've been working on this, backwards. It's not that we withheld the knowledge that it was human trafficking from the world. It's that we didn't know it was human trafficking. We didn't know that just because he filmed, that made it different than all the other times we had been sexually assaulted. We didn't know that in the state of Texas, if they don't allow you to leave of your own volition, it's considered human trafficking. We didn't know. And there were certain things that we had amnesia of, that when we went through them, our prefrontal cortex was not developed enough to understand what was happening. And seeing screenshots of those conversations now that we've watched hundreds of true crimes and seen interrogation videos being broken down by experts in an investigation, and seeing how little it takes to prove intent from a conversation, and hearing what legality there is and is not when it comes to schizophrenia and autism. This was his job. I did it for him. And now they're mad at me for not coming forward sooner. When I was not coming forward sooner, it was because I was afraid. I initially went to my local police. Hold on. We spent our own money printing at the library 81 photos of evidence to take to our local department to investigate this. They said, sorry, we can't investigate it because it happened in Texas. And we got this, gut feeling that something was going to go wrong when we reported it to the Texas department, and that's why we went to our local department to begin with. But we did what they said, and lo and behold, we were right. The local department in Texas had a grudge against us. And initially we were discouraged. We thought, wow, we're not going to get justice on this DV case. And then we told our social worker, who has a degree in criminal law, what he had said to us. And she told us to call his chief of police and report him, and ask for a new detective to be assigned to the case, because he had been incredibly unprofessional, and it was abnormal. She was shocked that anybody would talk to us that way, because she only sees us as our good side. She brings out the best in us. So yeah, I didn't exactly lie, but I fibbed. And I'm going to, on my own, bring this up when I talk to whoever gets to me first, whether that be a detective at the sheriff's department assigned to the case through this internal affairs investigation, or whether it be the FBI reaching out to me directly, since I reached out to them directly. Whoever gets to me first, I am going to explain what I just explained to y'all to them. Hopefully it takes less than 10 minutes when I do it. So consider this rehearsing so that I don't panic and say another non sequitur next time they confront me. I mean, it's obvious if you've watched my content that what I just said is the truth. Y'all watched. I said, oh my god, I have so much evidence. In the video, the year I got my eyebrow scar, and I was calling it the year I got my eyebrow scar because I didn't know what else to call it. But it was more significant than just being in an abusive relationship. This was orders of magnitude greater. And I could tell, even though I wasn't willing to label it as such. I could tell deep down there was something different. Something different about attempting to end the life of a child before it even began, when that was not what I consented to. He probably doesn't even know that he told on himself. I remember there's this one thing, I won't say what, but it's a common misconception that it can kill a pregnancy by accident. And I told him, did you know this isn't true? And he said, really? Even though he had been doing it the whole time. I didn't ask him, why were you doing it if you didn't know it wasn't going to kill the baby? I just took that note into my mind and tucked it away. Well, I better stop procrastinating and get to cleaning. I have to do dishes, and I have to bag up trash, and I need to do cat litter, and I need to mop, and I need to either bag up or fold and pack laundry. And if I bag it up, I need to bring my suitcase so that I can pack at my dad's house. And first thing in the morning, I need to call not internal affairs. I need to call the sergeant that is direct supervisor to the detective who has a grudge against me, or more particularly against Beth and Zafira. I need to call his supervisor directly. I got whitelisted on Friday, for those of you who did not see the update. I'm nervous. Men make me nervous. I will see y'all in the next one. Love you. Bye.